You are tuned in to Kids
In the Pit.
Hey guys, it's Gabe from the Kids in the Pit podcast. Today I'm joined by Joseph Salvatori from the band Parseltongue. I hope I said that right.
You did.
Thanks for the interview. Also, my middle name is Joseph, so
And did you say your first name was Gabriel?
yeah.
That's my brother's name.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So what do you do in Parseltongue?
Everything that you hear that is an instrument is me. So the drums, the keyboards, the guitars, the bass, every single thing in that band is me, except for vocals. And sometimes I do vocals. So
You just record it all other than vocals, and then you just have other people. You just have like other people for when you play live.
we've never played a show. I've 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 played many shows in my life. I'm going on almost 4.5 years of looking for one drummer. So it's a struggle in the technical death metal world to find a drummer. So
Yep. So, what genre is Parseltongue? Is it tech death, like you said?
I feel like that's like the easiest way to describe it. When we started, I would say we were definitely just like traditional like deathcore, a little bit more on leaning towards death metal, but now I would say it's more, especially with Cosmic Cult coming out and then the album that I'm writing currently, we've gotten a lot more progressive, more in the range of like Devin Townsend and just more, Dream Theater, more type progressive music, more so than just strictly deathcore.
Yep. So, I listened to the song Pyre of the Cosmic Cult. What
Yeah.
does that mean?
Well, so a pyre is, and I have to get the definition real quick because I don't write the lyrics. I don't do anything as far as like our imagery goes or anything, but it's a heap of combustible material. So pyre of the cosmic cult, I would assume, from what Corey writes, it's going to be more geared towards just basically almost like a ritual taking place wherein my computer's going crazy, a ritual wherein the cosmic cult is leading it, and the center piece of that meeting would be a heap of combustible material. So basically, like imagine like a big campfire and a whole group of people hanging around that campfire.
Huh. Okay, then. So, what does your band name mean?
It's the language that the serpent speaks in the Harry Potter series.
Huh. Nice. I've watched Harry Potter, but I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I,
give you me either. I don't remember much about it either. But Corey came up with that, and I thought it was a cool name. So
and I'm not a crazy Harry Potter fan, but yeah, I've seen all the movies.
yeah, same here.
I also went to Universal Studios because our friend worked at Disney World.
Yeah,
They got us in to they
that's
like passes with a
very
Universal
cool.
Studios person for Disney passes.
Yeah, and they have a Harry Potter park or something.
Like some crazy stuff. And there's
Yeah,
this train that goes between the like main one to the Harry Potter one.
nice.
Crazy.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Good.
So when did Partial Tongue start?
Oh man, how much time do we have? Do you want the short answer or the little bit more detailed?
I don't care, whatever.
Okay, so it's the story kind of goes like this. I was in a band previous, which was also a two-piece where I did all the instruments and I had a vocalist called Desert Flower. And long story short, as far as that goes, I got in a pretty severe car accident, landed myself in the hospital for a while. And during that time, my vocalist came and visited me while he was in the hospital. He was like, "Hey man, I got, good news." Uh, he's like, my wife is pregnant. I was like, "Oh." And I think it was at that moment that I think we kind of realized our band was like over, because I had a long road to recovery ahead. He's recently married and now a child's on the way, so I was like, I don't think there's a lot in store for us now. And I was okay with that. I was okay with where Desert Flower died because I was really proud of that band. So I kind of just stepped away from music for a couple of years, and then I started getting bored, so I started sitting around writing music just on my own, not recording it, just writing it, just for fun. And started writing, kept writing, kept writing, kept writing. And I'd have some friends, they come over to my house, whatever, and be like, "Hey, have you done anything musical?" Whatever the case is, and I would show them some of the things that I've been writing, and they were like, you got to record this. You have to." They're like, "It's so good." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe." I wasn't really interested in it. I didn't have a fantastic time in my local music scene. Um, Growing up, people are mean, and you'll see that in life. And just sometimes I decide I want to take myself away from that. So I was like, well, maybe. Well, I ended up moving to Knoxville, Tennessee. But right before I moved to Knoxville from Atlanta, where I grew up, uh, I actually finally decided, you know what, I will record this, because I had two extremely talented people that I looked up to approach me and say, "I want to be your drummer." And then the other guy said, "I want to be your vocalist." I said, "Okay, cool." Showed them what I wrote, and they were like, "All right, cool, let's do it." We booked studio time. I packed up all my gear, set aside my portion of the money to pay my producer. And I drove out 3 hours to his house. I show up, and I'm the only one there. And I was like, I'm texting the group chat and everything. I'm like, "Hey, like, you guys almost here, or like, what's going on?" And both of them quit while I was sitting in the studio ready to record our album together. So I was sitting there by myself. So I recorded everything by myself that day, did the whole album by myself in
Wait,
one day. Huh?
you did vocals too?
No, so I didn't do any vocals. So I finished the album instrumentally. And so my producer Chris, he was like, "So what are you gonna do now?" And I was like, I don't know. I was like, "I guess I'll just keep the album, and if I ever find a vocalist, we'll come back." So you skip ahead. I'm living in Knoxville at this point. And there was a time I was sitting downtown. I was at a bar, and I was just having a couple drinks, and this guy approached me. He goes, "Hey, I like your shirt." I don't know what band it was, but I was like, "Thanks, whatever," and ended up becoming friends with him. Long story short, he introduced me to a friend that he had, and he's like, "Hey, my name's Corey. Like, I'm really into this music as well." And just one day, through passing, I'd had this album now for like 6 months in my back pocket. Nobody'd heard. And I was like, "You want to hear something I recorded?" He was like, "Yeah." So I showed him Coiled, which was our first EP, and he fell in love. He's like, "Man, this is awesome. This is so good." And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You should let me do vocals." And I was like, "I didn't even know that you did vocals." He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "And I'm good." Which, when somebody tells you that, initially I'm a little bit skeptical. I'm like, you're just going to throw it out that you're a good vocalist. I feel a lot of times it's like, prove it, show me. And he's like, "No, just trust me, I'm good." And I was like, "All right." I had nothing to lose. So we packed up our stuff. We went back down to Chris in South Georgia or whatever, and we recorded Coiled in one day. And then that was how Parseltongue came to be. So we recorded that about 3.5 or 4 years ago. And that was the first time I ever heard Corey do vocals was in the studio. I never knew what he sounded like prior to that, and he did an amazing job. I was really, really, really stoked with the outcome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you started playing instruments?
Oh, let's see. I started playing drums when I was 8 or 9 years old. I kind of stopped around the time of my car accident. It made it a little bit more difficult for me to play. But I had been playing guitar since, like, seriously playing guitar since I was like 14 or 15 years old.
Nice.
Yeah.
I started playing guitar at 10 years. I think it was at my 10th birthday party. My grandma's brother,
Okay.
so yeah, great uncle, gave me he plays guitar, and he gave me electric and acoustic guitar,
Very nice.
and that I just started playing from there.
Okay. And how are you learning?
So I was self-taught mainly, but then I've had a few teachers. So
Okay.
the first one was
Kinda.
yeah, the first one was like he was this like I don't know, 16-year-old like uh,
Friend of the family.
yeah, and
Gotcha.
he like uh he like taught me some basic stuff, but he stopped because he had to go to college. So
At 16, that's impressive.
I think he was 18.
well, oh, was he 18?
It's like, dang, he moves quick.
He may be 20.
I don't know how old he is.
Well, that's
Uh,
awesome, man.
but now one of my dad's friends, which is really good at guitar, he can do some crazy stuff. He's teaching me like scales and stuff and like real like theory.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, stick with it, especially because if you're getting started at your age, by the time you're my age, you'll run circles around me and most people.
Yeah, hopefully. I play with my dad's band now when someone can't make a show also. They're like a punk band. They're called Dog Control. They're definitely a lot different from Parseltongue. That's
Yeah,
like we're mainly into like hardcore and punk and like stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, we're not yeah, that's our main stuff, like hardcore punk
very
stuff.
cool. I love hardcore.
Yeah. Um so what song would you recommend someone look up to check out your band?
Well, people really seem to like Brood Mother. That seems to be our most popular song. That's not my favorite song. I'm glad people like it. For me, Moon Ruler off of Basilisk is my favorite song. But off our new album, though, we have two new songs. One of them is called Anubis Ritual. I feel that's I feel at this point that's probably our most well written song. And then we have a new single coming out at the end of this month, and that song is called Wizards of Absurdity. And people say, I don't know if you've heard of the band The Faceless or the Zenith Passage, but a lot of people say that we sound very similar to them, and they're a pretty well respected in the death metal tech death world. So it's high praise to hear somebody say that it sounds similar to that, because that's one of my favorite bands.
Nice. So what was the first metal show you attended and how old were you?
uh, well, so the first that's so crazy. So the first metal show I ever went to, I was 14 years old, and I went to see a local band that I liked, that I found on the internet, that I didn't know was a local band, and they were called A Fight for Life, and they were from Douglasville, Georgia. And I was obsessed. I thought they were so good. So oddly enough, most people's first concert is like, they went and saw Metallica with their parents, or went and saw Anthrax or whatever. It's like, for me, it's like my first concert was I was standing in a room with like 20 people watching a local band. And that was cool. And my second show after that was, looking back, it's a crazy tour to think that it even happened, but I saw All Shall Perish on their last tour, Float Face Down on their first tour, and Conducting from the Grave on their what would become their last tour as well. So my second show was like almost as extreme as it can get for death metal, and I was 14 years old when I saw that, and my mind was just blown. It was at that point that I definitely knew I wanted to stay in this musical world for the rest of my life, 100%.
Nice. My mom's first show was Metallica because
Amazing.
like her friend won like a radio show like
Awesome.
for free like tickets or something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What was your first show?
Do you know the band Bad Religion?
Of course.
Because they're a punk band. So yeah, that was my first show in Orlando, Florida, even though we're from Delaware.
Okay.
But yeah, we have an annual like trip to Disney World every year.
Nice.
The day like that we got there was a Bad Religion show in Orlando. So it was crazy.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, definitely. It was awesome.
Good. Good.
So, what are some of your favorite bands to listen to recorded and some of your favorite bands to see live?
Ooh. So my favorite artist of all time is Devin Townsend. And I would, there's, I mean, and all of his associated projects like Strapping Young Lad and stuff, one of my favorites. Seeing him live the time I saw him, he was an opener for Dream Theater, so I didn't get to see, him in his full, like, doing a full show as him as the headliner, which I would like to see, but seeing him live was incredible. Decapitated. That's one of my favorite bands. They don't play in the US anymore, which is unfortunate. So I don't know if I'll ever get to see them live, but they're definitely one of my favorites. Uh, Cattle Decapitation. I just saw them a couple months ago. That was one of the best bands I've ever seen live. Really, really good stage presence. Um, let's see who else. There's a hardcore band from where I live called No Cure. Um, they put on an incredible show, and they're a ton of fun. I'm trying to think of who else. If you've never had the chance to see the band Carnifex, admittedly, I'm not a huge fan of their music recorded. I respect them a lot, and I do like their music, but I don't usually listen to it. Um, just I would really want to listen to Carnifex today. But anytime I get the chance to see them live, I go and see them because they are so tight live. They're perfect, and they never mess up, and it's incredible to see.
Nice. Yeah, I've never been to like a death metal show. Because I don't very listen to much death metal.
Yeah.
I kind of some Cannibal Corpse. Like of the newer is like not that bad. I like it.
You talking about like their new like Violence Reimagined, like their new album?
Their newer stuff because their older stuff is just too.
Back when Chris Barnes was their vocalist, that sound just sounded like a garbage disposal all the time.
It's just it was on what's the word unintelligible.
Yeah, good word. Yeah, and that's I'm not a huge fan. Much the same. I'm not a huge fan of like late 80s, early 90s, like brutal death metal is what a lot of people would refer to that as. Your
Mhm.
traditional death metal, things like Deicide and Decapitated, for example, I that's a lot more musical and intricate in nature. I'm more drawn to that than more so than like things like Cannibal Corpse. But their new stuff I've very much enjoyed. Everything from like Torture onward, I've thought has been fantastic from Cannibal Corpse.
Do you like Obituary at all?
I do a little bit. I like the death and roll type of like slow tempo stuff that they do. Redneck Stomp is obviously a great song. But yeah, I would love to see them live, especially because Andrew WK, who's one of my favorite artists, he's kind of just some people don't consider him a serious artist. He kind of just jokes around and just parties all the time, and that's like his whole thing. But he's like a pop artist basically. But all of his live members are the members of Obituary. So very bizarre, but I love that's his crew. So if not for anything, I respect them tremendously because they work with Andrew, and I love Andrew's music.
Nice. Yeah, I know Party Hard.
There you go. Yeah, that's awesome that you know. So yeah, did you know that his members are Obituary?
I had no idea, but
It's very crazy.
I've heard a few songs. It's weird death metal band in like a pop. Would you call them like pop metal kind of?
Like pop rock, maybe. I don't really know. I mean, it's so upbeat that like saying that it's rock doesn't even seem like it really fits. But yeah, I don't like pop rock ish type of thing. But yeah, that's the members of Obituary. Very weird.
Yep. So what is your favorite type of food?
Ooh, ramen easily.
Nice. I like instant ramen or like
No. We're talking like traditional stuff. So like if you've never been so instant ramen, no hate towards that. I love it too, but um a traditional like Japanese ramen bar where you're going to go and you're going to get, green onions and egg and, shoyu broth and shredded pork and stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about. It's legit. If you've never had it, it'll change your life.
instant ramen is good, but like just perfect.
Yeah.
Just all the stuff like the perfect broth when it's a perfect like when it has the perfect spice and stuff.
Yep.
Yep. I had real ramen in New York City when we went there. We've been there a few times, and
Yeah.
now it's a ramen place in my town. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a super unhealthy for you, but my body doesn't seem to mind, so I will eat it as much as I want.
I feel like actual ramen probably isn't that bad. It's probably
Well,
pretty
at least
good.
they're using real ingredients and not like basically plastic.
Yeah. Instant ramen is just like plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
And salt.
Plastic and
And lots of salt.
plastic, salt, and MSG.
There it is. Smart kid. Yeah, that's right.
So what was your favorite movie when you were my age?
Oh man, what was my favorite movie? Probably it's so weird because I've only recently gotten like back into movies big time. It was probably, strangely enough, Black Hawk Down, which you've probably never seen, but that was for some reason I was very much drawn to that movie. It was about a military operation in well, now I can't remember where it was, but essentially the helicopter Black Hawk went down, and the movie is about, went down in enemy territory, and it's about how these soldiers, got out of that situation. It's very, very good movie. I mean, I was watching it. I don't know who, if it's necessarily something I should have been watching, but it was awesome. Really, really, really good movie, and I still love that movie to this day. But I think that was my favorite movie when I was your age.
Yep. I watch horror like all the time, so I could probably hear.
That's all I watch now. That's it.
I love horror movies.
Me too. That's all I watch.
If you had to wear T-shirts from for the rest of your life from one band only, and you have an infinite supply of them, what band would it be? And it can't be any of your bands.
Oh, okay. Well, we're in luck because I've never had a shirt. um, so well, let's see. I'd want it to be stylish though. So that's the thing, right? It's like I wouldn't just be because I like the band. Um, there's a band from I think North Carolina. They're called Within Destruction. Um, I love their music. They're super tight, really, really good. But they have whoever their merch designer is, like he's got a future in apparel because everything he designs is genius, and it's like some of the coolest art design you'll ever see. So Within Destruction, I would say would probably be my choice.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if you could tell your 12-year-old self anything at all, what would you tell him? What would you tell him?
Oh. uh so much. But if I had to consolidate it, um it would be the biggest thing I would tell myself and to you is to place no value on what others feel or think about you because it's not worth your time.
Nice. Yeah, good advice. Because it doesn't matter what people think of you.
That's
Well,
exactly right.
mainly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You don't have to answer to what strangers think about you as a person. They're not paying your bills or anything like that, so it doesn't matter.
Yep. I hear that advice. Advice.
Voice.
Advice. I hear that advice more than anything else on here.
Yeah, well, and it's because it's true, man. And I think that even us as adults, I don't know how many people you've interviewed, but I think us as adults, you're going to be interviewing people much older than you now. And I think the reason that so many of us kind of lock in on that advice is that it's the biggest lesson that we have learned through our life over and over and over again. And it's a lesson that everybody eventually learns is that you'll get so tied up in like this person doesn't like me or this person doesn't like me, and then you kind of just realize that eventually, you get to you in your late 20s or so, and it never mattered. It's
Yep.
like you're still living your life, and it never mattered that this person didn't like you.
Yep. So I think you're the I think you're the 80th person I've interviewed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, once a week, and I've started it when I was 10, I think. Yeah,
And you're how old now?
12.
12. All right. Okay. So what's the biggest artist that let me ask a question. What's the biggest artist that you've interviewed?
So either uh the Descendants, Brian Baker from Milo from the Descendants, Brian Baker from Minor Threat and Bad Religion, or Eric Melvin from NoFX.
Wow. Now look at me. We're going a little bit we're going down. But nah, man, that's cool. That's awesome, man. I wouldn't know what to do if I was interviewing people like that at your age, man. I'd lose my mind.
I was starstruck. It was nuts.
That's awesome, man. I've met a lot of heroes too, and it never gets old. It's an awesome experience.
They're awesome. So, anything to add before we wrap it up?
No, man, just I don't know when the release date of my album is because I do for the first time have somebody like kind of managing our release. Um, but just keep an eye out for it. I know you said you're not a big death metal fan, but maybe this album will, maybe you'll find something in this album that you like. We kind of branch out and do a whole bunch of different stuff in this album that's very off the wall and bizarre and progressive, and I'm willing to bet that you'd probably enjoy a little bit of it. I guess other than that, like where is this on Spotify, or like how do I show people your podcast?
And YouTube and pretty much everything, most stuff.
Okay, cool.
Also, where can people find you? Follow your band. So
Okay. So we're on Facebook, Parseltongue, obviously. It's not super hard to find us there. On Spotify, Parseltongue. Also very easy to find us. We have a Bandcamp for anybody who wants to follow us directly. I think it might be Parseltongue Tennessee on Bandcamp. I'm not sure. But that's where if anybody wants to support us directly, we put all of our releases on Bandcamp, and you can donate to us through there or whatever the case is. But ultimately, I don't care about any of that. I just want people to listen to my music and hopefully enjoy it.
nice. So thanks to Joseph for joining me today, and thanks to all of you for watching or listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Spotify and other streaming platforms. Until next week, bye.
See you, buddy.